whenever a compound gets this much attention like Retta is, two things happen at the same time. One, the science gets very interesting. That's why there's so much hype around it. The science is kind of compelling, but also the marketplace gets dirty. So you need to be informed. So Retatrutide is not it's not a GLP-1. It's being studied as a triple hormone receptor agonist, meaning it targets GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon receptors. That's why everybody's talking about it. It ain't pulling just one metabolic lever. It's designed to pull three. Now, by the end of this talk, by the end of this conversation, I want y'all to know what Retatrutide is, what the evidence say it may do, and just who can benefit from using this, because education around these subjects are very important, okay? And this is a distinction I want to make, y'all. I want y'all to be educated before you have access to it. That's just the wise position to be in. Now, here's the standard. I'm not going to overhype this. I'm not going to, just tell you all of the fascinating things about it without telling you the cons. All right, we getting both. Now, Retatrutide is still being tested. The results look positive, but it is still being tested. All right. Now, the data is strong. And if I say the data is strong, the data is strong. Trust me. But you don't have to trust me. You can read it for yourself. We're citing everything down below. Actually, we have a site that is compiled with nothing but research, peer review, and you have access to that down the link below. I want you to be informed. You don't got to take my word for nada. If the data is early, we're going to say it's early. If the data is strong, we say it's strong. We're going to keep it 100. All right. Now, I don't want y'all to feel hyped up about peptides and all emotional about it. My job is to make you literate about these peptides, right? And Retatrutide, it deserves some attention, but attention is not permission to just go crazy, okay? Retatrutide is a peptide-based investigational drug candidate designed to activate three hormone receptor pathways. Those three pathways are GIP, GLP-1, and glucagon. That's basically the core of it. Most people already know GLP-1 because you heard of Ozempic, semaglutide. GLP-1 helps regulate your appetite. It makes you not GIP, which is another incretin hormone pathway, and it's involved in insulin response and metabolic signaling. All right. And you have glucagon. Attention. Most people that know about glucagon think it's only, it raises blood sugar, but that's part of the story, or that's incomplete. Glucagon signaling also has a relationship to energy expenditure, fat metabolism, and the way the body manages stored fuel. That does not mean glucagon is automatically good or bad. It means it's a powerful metabolic signal. Retatrutide is hitting the system from three directions. All three of those that I just mentioned, that's what Retatrutide, those are levers, and Retatrutide is pulling those levers, right? So let's be clear. I want y'all to really understand what this means. Semaglutide or Ozempic is GLP-1. Tirzepatide is GIP and GLP-1. Retatrutide is GIP, GLP-1, and glucagon. All right. That doesn't automatically mean that Retatrutide is better for everyone. It just means it's more complex. More signals can mean more effect. More signals can also mean it needs more monitoring. It might mean more side effects. You just don't know. But you got to be more responsible with something that's stronger. Now, think about training. Take one man over here. He cuts his calories. That's one level. That's all he's doing, right? The next man, he cuts calories and lift weights. That's two levels, right? Then you have another person. You have Mike Rashid. He cuts calories. He lifts weights. He improves sleep. He manages stress. He tracks his blood work. Now, the whole system is starting to change, right? In a more profound way. Retatrutide is being studied because it appears to push more than one metabolic lever at once. Appetite, blood sugar, body weight, and possibly energy and metabolism. But listen, y'all, those mechanics are not magical. Mechanism tells you why something works, and clinical trials tell you whether it actually works or not. Now, long-term data is what's needed for this, and that's the order. So we're going to get into the claims. Claim number one, is retatrutide may produce major weight loss in adults with obesity or overweight. That's the strongest part of the retatrutide conversation. In Lilly's phase 3 Triumph-1 trial, adults with obesity or overweight and at least one weight-related condition were studied over 80 weeks. Lilly reported that the 12 milligram retatrutide group lost on average 70.3 pounds or 28.3% of body weight. Now, these people were obese, obviously, right? If you 70 pounds to lose, you're obese. The 9 milligram group lost 25.9%. The 4 milligram group lost 19%. And then you have a placebo, they lost 2.2%. Lilly also reported that 45.3% of its participants on 12 milligrams achieved at least 30% weight loss. Very significant, very major. That's something to pay attention to. Now, there were also phase 2 trials published in the New England Journal of Medicine for adults with obesity or overweight. The trial reported substantial reduction in body weight in over 48 weeks. So they concluded that the findings supported that further phase 3 investigation, they're going to keep going. The trial was funded by Eli Lilly. Now, let's look at claim 2. Claim 2 is this: retatrutide may improve blood sugar control in people with type 2 diabetes. In phase 2 trials published in The Lancet, retatrutide improved glycemic control and reduced body weight in participants with type 2 diabetes. The author described the improvements as clinically meaningful, and that also was funded by Eli Lilly. Now, we got to keep in consideration, this is Eli Lilly's drug. So they're funding these studies. So take that for whatever you want to take it for, all right? But the matter, these numbers and these results, it matters because obesity and blood sugar dysfunction are not separate problems for many people. They're part of the same metabolic collapse. Now, there's claim 3. Claim 3 is this: retatrutide may improve waist circumference and cardiometabolic risk markers. Lilly reported that Triumph-1 showed improvements in waist circumference, non-HDL cholesterol, triglycerides, systolic blood pressure, and hs-CRP. The 12 milligram group reportedly had 9.5 inches around, that's the average, taken off of their waist during that 80-week period, compared to claim 5. Retatrutide has side effects, especially gastrointestinal effects, and higher doses may carry higher tolerability burden. Lilly phase 3 announcement report common adverse events, including nausea, diarrhea, constipation, vomit. Yeah, how you get diarrhea and constipation? That's crazy. That's like kind of canceling each other out. Infection, urinary tract infection, discontinuation due to adverse events increased across retatrutide groups, reaching 11.3% in the 12 milligram group compared with 4.9% on placebo. In phase 2 type 2 diabetes trial, mild to moderate gastrointestinal adverse events were common, including nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, and constipation. I know y'all want to hear that, but you got to hear it. Who does this particular conversation serve? Right? That's the question. I'm going to tell you who it don't serve. Homie over here trying to like drop 5 pounds for a poop on is not me. It don't serve the people who are trying to look more lean and peeled for the gram. It's not for you. It's not the person who just wants drugs to replace discipline and replace like having actual structure. It's not for you. The real retatrutide conversation belongs to people dealing with serious obesity, weight-related complications, metabolic dysfunctions, type 2 diabetes risk, or people with health-related issues because of their weight. That is the human side of this. But aggressive appetite suppression, y'all, can turn into undereating. This is for people who don't need retatrutide. It will have you undereating. Undereating can turn into muscle loss. Muscle loss can turn into a weaker metabolism, worse training, body that looks stupid. You'll be smaller, but not better. You look stupid. And the goal should never be just to lose weight, right? The goal should be to be governed better, okay? A serious fat loss conversation protects lean tissue. It protects blood pressure. It protects digestion. It protects gallbladder health. It protects the relationship with food. It protects training performance, and it protects your nervous system. That means you need more than just a compound. You need a framework. All right. Now, Listen, I know, trust me, I know that some people are desperate. You can't lose weight, I know how easy it is to hear one impressive thing about Retatrutide or whatever, and you just stop thinking. You just like give it to you, right? But listen, all of this, what we're talking about, is still research material. Okay, it is not for human consumption. Okay, so I gotta make that disclaimer because it's true, right? Also want to say this: everybody that I know that have done it, not that I know, but there is adverse side effects in the literature. Okay. Now, when it comes to research facilities, you want to see high purity, you want to see third-party testing, lab verified, and some of that will be true, but some of that might not be true. And if you don't, y'all need to know how to evaluate the difference, and that's like a slippery slope. So this is why I will stand on this. Education comes before the access. All right. It's just a wise thing to do, y'all. Before anybody sells you anything in this world, you need to understand basic questions. What is the legal status? Is this approved or is it investigational? Is it being prescribed by a qualified practitioner? What labs are being monitored? What's my plan for nutrition while I'm on it? Will I retain muscle? What happens if side effects show up? What are you actually buying, right? Who's accountable if something go wrong? A serious man or a serious woman does not get seduced by a little vibe, okay? They study the system around that vibe. This whole point of the that is the whole point of the peptide research hub. I would rather you be slow and informed than fast and foolish, because some lames out there, there's some lame ass people out there, and they don't give a damn about your health. They just want to make money. That's it. All right. So here's the front. Retatrutide may be one of the most important metabolic drugs in the world. That is very possible. And I think that's what the final end results is going to be. The human weight loss data is strong enough to respect. The blood sugar data is strong enough to respect. The obesity complication angle is strong enough to respect. But just don't be reckless. A serious person can look at that data and say, that's impressive, I'm sold. But a wise person will be, this is not something I should just casually buy online and experiment with myself, right? That's being intelligent. That's why the next move is not to go and chase the vibe. The next move is to study, learn what GLP-1 is, learn what GIP is, learn what glucagon is, learn why protein matters, blood work matters, learn the difference between human data, animal data, mechanisms, and marketing. Learn to tell when somebody is educating you versus when they're just hunting and trying to like capitalize off of your desperation. That's why we have what's called the Peptide Research Hub, peptidepressure.io. Is not to make you impulsive. It makes you harder to manipulate. And I want our community to be impossible to manipulate, all right? So if this conversation made you realize that you do not know peptides well enough, right? Good. That's the point. And that's why I'm here, okay? Now, the link in the description, click it, go to the research hub. You can download a playbook. You can take a quiz. This quiz will walk you into if you need peptides or not. And if you do, if it will benefit you, what it's going to be, it's going to tell you everything, pros and cons. It's going to keep it 100 with you. And also, it can lead you to a place to where you can get those certified, high quality, tested peptides if that's in the cards for you. Listen, being ignorant in any place, any space, especially this one, is very expensive, right? And listen, your body is an amana. It's a trust, okay? That means you do not neglect it and you do not abuse it in the name of optimization. There's nothing noble about being sick because you're too proud to seek help. There's also nothing intelligent about you chasing every compound because you don't want to master your appetite, your training, your sleep, your food, your mind, your intentions, your diet. So the question is not just, can this make me lose weight? Can it make me lighter? The question is, will this make me more responsible with the body Allah entrusted in me? That is a different conversation. The question purifies motive, and you need your intentions set properly. Retatrutide is still investigational. It is not FDA approved. The public market around it is ahead of the law, and it's ahead of most people's understanding as well, and it's ahead of a lot of people's discipline. So the best thing for you to do is ikra, read, right? If you want to understand peptides seriously, If you want to take a quiz to see if you're a candidate for peptides, go to the Research Hub down below. It's the only link here. No, it's two links. There's one to the Research Hub, and then there's one to take you to the research materials. Learn the mechanism, learn the evidence tiers, learn the questions, learn how to not get played, because the goal is not to be first. The goal is to be right. And in this world, the man who moves without knowledge is not ahead of the curve. He's just early to the consequence. Assalamu alaikum. Check y'all on the next.